All right. Well, when they came up that intro music, that just makes me want to dance as I see it, when I hear it. So I had to do a little bit of that in the background. But thanks everyone once again for joining us for the Faces of Business. I'm Damon Postolka, your host, and I am so happy to have my friend Curt Anderson here with us today. Curt, welcome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I did my hair just for you, fixed my eyebrows. I'm super fired up, excited. This is put on a shirt. I don't know if it's clean or not, but we're good to
go. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. You're looking good, man. It's
Thanks, brother.
So let's get to some important things. So what's the temperature at your house today? Because you're in New York, and I just had to check.
You know what? It's a heat wave, dude. It's like 40. It's bad for if you're a skier. It's a little depressing right now. So it's like almost it's too hot for us here in New York.
Yeah. You're gonna have to worry about that because what's it here? 44 here right now.
44. Yeah, I think we broke 40. I'm a little, messes up the whole ski plan. So
yeah,
not good. But yeah, we have a lot of snow, so that's.
Oh, that's good. We're supposed to be getting like 24 inches this weekend up in the mountains.
You are?
Oh yeah, it's crazy in Washington, the mountains right here. I mean, our average temperature in the winter daytime high is probably close to 40, 42, something like that.
Yeah.
But in the mountains, it's right at that nice level temperature for heavy snow.
Yeah.
And like Mount Baker, that's north of us, they'll get 10 feet of snow in the winter.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we get some good snow, but it melts right away. It's not like Colorado snow that's all fluffy. It's usually,
our 30. We start in October and end like in June, so we have about a good 10 months.
Yeah. That's like Andrew in Park City. I mean, they have a little bit more there. So
right.
It's good stuff. But we're here to talk about e-commerce strategies for manufacturers. It's something that you and I get to discuss quite a bit. You're an every day talking about it, so that's cool. So when you look at, just tell us a little bit about the stuff you've been doing in the last year. Out talking to e-commerce manufacturers about e-commerce.
You believe it's almost been it hasn't been a year yet of this whole new world. What a total shift. I was in a total different place doing different things, and you're kind of hearing this rumbling of like what's going on in Asia, what's going on in Italy. You're like, hey, you think that's going to come here? And it was almost like we're just like, so so manufacturers, and I have to say, Damon, I'm so honored. I'm always like, every day I pray like Damon doesn't get sick of me because I just love hanging out with you. We have a great time on Fridays we'll talk about that, but manufacturers. So I've been doing this for a while, really pounding the drum for like past 10 years or so, like trying to have just a squeaky wheel megaphone manufacturing e-commerce cheerleader of like, get in e-commerce. And for years, it's been a lot of resistance, not for us, we're word of mouth. We're the best kept secret, that type of thing. And boy, COVID hit and it really kind of made my life a lot easier. It was like, we're right place at the right time. Right. So, thank you, man. There it is. So, my shameless plug, and it's a bestseller in the Anderson family. I have to tell you. Right?
There you go.
My mother, my father, they bought a couple, my sister. So, but ironically, I was working on a book prior to COVID coming out.
Yeah.
And with a step-by-step e-commerce guide for manufacturers. COVID hit. I finished it up and, put it out it was like May or June. And so since that time, I know that's, you and I connected almost a year ago. We're having our 1 year anniversary, buddy.
Yeah.
And, so this past year, we've been just relentlessly trying to help manufacturers with this digital transformation, how to get in e-commerce, better lead generation. And so that's been our preach for a while now.
So what are you hearing when you were talking to manufacturers last year and into the beginning of this year?
Yeah.
What are you hearing about their sales efforts? I mean, have they just went, on their face, or is it not good, or is it just fine in some cases? What are you hearing?
Yeah, great question. And I think, for those of us and we can probably say this about a lot of industries, but I think manufacturers have a kind of a stigma or traditionally, resistant to change.
Yeah.
And God bless them, man, because I'll tell you, you've been in manufacturing, how hard it is to get from ground zero off the runway to actually create a sustainable, profitable business. And boy, these manufacturers, how, like, you know this, how many businesses fail in the first 5 years? Was it 80%?
Yeah, it's like,
Right?
high percentage like that. Yeah.
And when you think of like these businesses, we know quite a few, 30, 40 years by the same owner, same entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you just defied, I say dude or dudette,
Yeah.
man or woman, they've defied all odds where, that 80%, if you make it to 10 years, what's it go down to? Like, 5% of companies survive 10 years.
Yeah.
Then like 2% survive 20 years. So like there's such an anomaly to go 20, 30, 40 years. And when they figured out a formula that works, they don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we went to trade shows. We had sales reps on the road. I would go pound the pavement. My sales reps would pound the pavement. I don't need this digital thing. So when COVID hits, all of a sudden the carpet gets pulled out, no trade shows, sales reps are grounded. Now they're finally saying, okay, I finally get it. Now I need to do something, right?
So you think you see some willingness to explore different options now?
Yeah. So I used to do a lot of they weren't webinars. I did webinars, but live workshops, say 2014, 15. And I always felt that my workshops were the why. Why do you need to be on LinkedIn? Why do you need to be e-commerce? And, you have the skeptics, the critics, the people are like, yeah, my boss made me come to the stupid workshop. What do you got, dude? And, so the workshop was all based about, I try to make it fun, but like, this is why you should do it, because this guy's having success. Yeah. Or let's take a look at your competitors that are coming up first page on Google, those types of things. And, so now finally we can start having, you and I are doing a lot of webinars together. You crushed it in Illinois on Tuesday. Now we're able to have webinars on how to do it because they want to do it, as opposed to the resistance and the reluctance of why should I be doing this, So it's a totally different mindset, which for me, I'm ecstatic about. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Cause I didn't think about that little thing that's changed a lot.
It changed a ton,
Yeah, because you were trying to justify it before, and now it's a matter of necessity in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and on occasion, as like I do some LinkedIn workshops and stuff, and so on occasion, the CEO, president, business development person, sales, they'll be like, hey, can you come in and do a LinkedIn workshop? But I have to tell you, engineers are really mad that we're doing this. So again, there's that small group of the why do we need to do this? Social media, LinkedIn is like Facebook. We're going to talk about what we heard last night. But when you go through, like look at the business. A majority of my business, probably 80-90% of it is thanks to LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Probably same for you. Our network that we've created, all the relationships we've created, these MEPs that we're working with that we'll talk about. It's all thanks to LinkedIn. I mean, there's no other way to make these connections.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right there. And I think that for me, right. Cause look, I got enough gray hair. I'm old school. I'm old school in a new school gig right now. That's really me. And I was out pounding the road, man. I was doing that, selling molded products, selling fabricated products, metal products, whatever it was, CNC machine products. And, now if I were going to go out and do that again, it would be a hell of a lot easier with a nice LinkedIn, understanding the way that buyers buy, because that's the other thing that I think a lot of people neglected across the board, manufacturers as well, but that the buyers were changing and the way they buy has changed significantly.
Right.
And the whole thing in that is really interesting to me, because that buyer change, I was wrong about it. And the place that I was wrong about it is that I knew that the buyers were using Google more. And I've talked about this. They use Google more to search before the buy, get 3/4 of the way through the buying process before they buy.
Yeah.
But what you're doing and you're helping people with that I was missing is then we have to make it easy to buy.
Right.
With the kind of things that you're showing manufacturers how to do, because these buyers look at the high 20s to low 40s year old people that are buying, they're buying a ton of junk off of Amazon probably. What does Amazon do? I just click, shows up tomorrow or the next day. I click, shows up tomorrow or the next day. Now, think about 15 years ago.
Right.
The buyers 15 years ago, we were all afraid to click on somebody's website and buy something,
Right.
let alone, a nice big one like Amazon. But now today, think of how many times a buyer will go to kind of a random website and buy a product off of it. Which we would have never done that many years, years ago. So that last part that I wasn't thinking about is really crazy. Oh,
no, I agree.
Rodney said he's on the pass now. I think Rodney works with a company that's over the pass here, but yeah, he said it's tough, but LinkedIn has been a great platform. I forget people on LinkedIn. Comment, Facebook, comment. Tell us where you're coming in from. Tell us what industry you're in. Hey, if you got some questions, ask those too while we're at it, because Curt knows what he's doing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the e-commerce and maybe some of the things he talks about in this little book that he put together. So,
thanks for joining us, Rodney. But Damon, you're making a fantastic point, and so we're old enough to we are digital immigrants, right? We easily remember life without internet, smartphone. You and I were faxing back in the day, right?
Oh God, I hate to say that.
I say that frequently. I'm like, just think if COVID happened in 1990, what would we have done? Like we've been in our dorm rooms or apartments doing what? Like thank goodness that that we have this digital age to be able to stay connected, communicate, so on and so forth. You've had some personal experiences this past month where, thank God for technology, allowed you to cherish those moments with your dad, but I got into e-commerce in 1995, and we both vividly remember the .com bubble, right? Remember the bubble burst in 2000 and pets.com and all that, and so on and so forth. I feel for manufacturers, I'm saying, man, we're partying like it's 1999 right now. I feel like what's going on in manufacturing for e-commerce is where retail was in 1999. I'm like, you are not too late. The party is just starting. That B2B e-commerce market is so mammoth, and there's just so much upside potential. We're just looking for slivers that could be massive, for these manufacturers.
Yeah. Well, Rodney's saying he's in sheet metal fabrication and CNC machining, so that's cool to drop in the industry there. Thanks, Rodney.
Hey, Rodney.
You're right. It is because if you think about, and we're not talking about e-commerce like you have to make a standard product off the shelf. If you are, that's cool, because I know a lot of manufacturers, especially custom manufacturers, tried to do this. I want to make a product line. I've got this stamping press out here. Why don't I make this or that, and just have it kind of utilizing scrap material inside of another piece or something like that, because it comes out free basically, and all those kind of things. But the challenge in those days was, how do I sell enough of them to make it worth my time to do that? Right. And now we have those things. I mean, just think if I had that example, if I had a stamping press and I was making something cool and little I would be on Amazon selling that sucker every single day, because
exactly
the traffic is insane.
Right. And that's right. And that's exactly, like a guy like Rodney, CNC, we bend metal, we cut steel, we make circuit boards, wire harnesses, whatever, injection molding, very broad. And so that's a challenge for those manufacturers. I think as entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you see it all the time in your line of work, we try to be, it's that entrepreneurial curse. We try to be everything to everybody instead of something to someone. And with manufacturers, from a marketing standpoint, you're like, oh, well, we're a CNC shop, or we bend metal, or we cut steel. And you're like, well, okay, well, who do you do it for? We can do it for anybody. Well, online, from an online marketing standpoint, that's a challenging approach, because now we're trying to go after CNC. Well, you and 100,000 other CNC shops, But if we can complete the sentence, if you talk to a manufacturer at custom job shop long enough, you say, okay, well, who do you fabricate metal for? Oh, well, we're in the Northwest and we're great in the supply chain of aerospace, and we bend metal for turbine engines, just say,
Yeah.
Okay, bingo. That's a potential key word of like, all right, I bend metal for turbine engines, or I cut steel for something. I make circuit boards for X. I'm being facetious or like making it simplifying. But when you can skinny it down, niche it down, and focus on what you're best at, like those trinkets that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hey man, we produce thousands of these little trinkets. Okay. Is there anybody else on the planet that needs that trinket? Because your buyer that doesn't know you, that doesn't know that you exist, you're the best kept secret. What did we find out from Brian Beck during one of our webinars? Wasn't that shocking? Do you remember that stat he threw at us?
Yeah, it was like, what was that?
70.
How much yeah.
And the thing is, I'm doing a webinar tomorrow at the Montana MEP. I have a slide. 63% of product searches, Brian said 70, and I'm not disputing him. The slide I have, 63% of product searches start on Amazon, not Google. Isn't like that blew my mind. So now if I'm a job shop, that scares me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because and this is something that I wrestle with a little bit in my mind too, that if I'm a job shop and I do want to start that conversation, right?
Yep.
Would it be worthwhile for me to put a more common product type of mine on Amazon, not because I'm thinking that I'm going to get a gazillion dollars worth of sales, but because I'm going to get the exposure for something like that.
Yep.
And then in my listing somehow say, well, inquire about other sizes. I don't know what I don't know the listing details on it, but it really is something. The 63% is mind boggling, especially when you go back and you talk about if you're in pay-per-click and you're trying to go now for that same product or that product line, I want to get people to me using paid search.
Right.
It's not as much paid search, and B, the paid search there has more competition.
Absolutely. And we want to, and you're you're nailing it right on the head. So the thing is, we as manufacturers, we get so stuck on, well, you know what? I'm a job shop. I always make something for somebody else. But if we could stay in our lane, stay in our strike zone, and do exactly what you're saying, use Amazon, Zorro, Walmart, use it purely as lead gen, use it as a lead generator, because they're going after those keywords for you.
Yeah.
So the thing is, again, let's use that, CNC for, I'm using a bad example if you have a better one, but like, turbine engines. Okay. Or injection plastic injection molding for turbine engines. I did one in Nebraska, and somebody was like, they were talking about Caterpillar or Deere, injection plastic molding for lawnmowers, like something, you see where I'm going. Finish the sentence, put for after what you do, and then finish the sentence. That's your key phrase. Yeah. Now, if I'm going after that, now we've niched down. Not many people are going after that. Yeah. You can now. You're the king of pay-per-click. What are your clicks going to be if I go after CNC or plastic injection molding versus plastic injection molding for lawnmowers?
Oh yeah.
It's going like you might spend 50 cents on a click instead of $10 a click.
Exactly.
Right. Organically, I've got a great chance of coming up free organically. Now I put that on Amazon. Now Amazon helps me. Zorro might help me. I could own that page, and everybody's coming to me because I've niched down.
That is a great example of that. And if people haven't thought about that, first of all, I'm going to say you do explain it well in your book. I'm just no bullshit. You do.
Thank you, man.
Because I just read it again on the bike, the stationary bike again. But and it reminded me of that, because you're exactly right. If you answer the question, I do CNC machining for automotive engines.
Yeah,
something like that. So you're finishing that sentence, then you go search and you start to do some keyword searching and just understand, okay, how many people are really ranking for it? Does Google have stuff? Is it old? Is it not good information? And then just keep moving around with your phrase a little bit. And then you as that custom manufacturer can start to you could buy pay-per-click on that. and just make sure that when it comes to your site, you're talking about that stuff. B, you could do like we're doing now. You can do content, make content around something, and write a blog about
Right.
CNC machining for automotive engines. And the next thing you know, you can own that page. And again, use Amazon and Walmart as a listing page
Right.
for that you machine that has those keywords in it, and they're going to try to sell that on Google too.
You're nailing it on the head. And the thing is, what's so critical, what's so difficult for us to challenge ourselves, to put ourselves in the shoes of our persona, that ideal buyer. In my book, I call it our soulmates, right? Basically your website's a matchmaker, and we're all looking for soulmates. We're looking for clients that want to know, our buddy Greg Mishu, what does he preach? No, like, trust, trust, right?
Yeah.
So what do you got? You going to show something?
No, I'm going to pull up I was reading the brand story again, building a story brand. But there is an example in here. And this is one of the other things that I think when we're talking about e-commerce and manufacturers is we got to get off of telling people I bend metal. I am a CNC machining shop, and showing us all the great equipment and all that kind of stuff. And there was an example I read this morning. It was high-end resort helped one of them to clarify the message. It says, like many companies, they were experiencing an identity crisis. Their marketing collateral featured images of their restaurant, front desk, and staff. It all looked really nice. But unless they were trying to sell their buildings, they weren't exactly inviting customers into the story. Right. Now, what really connected with me is this. What they changed it to was they changed the text on our website from long stories about themselves to images of a warm bath, plush towels and robes, someone getting a massage, and a looping clip of a back porch rocking chair against the backdrop of trees blowing in the wind along the golf course. Right. Now, I read bad, but even with my bad reading, how much better was the second part of that? You could feel it.
You felt it, right? That's Allison. That's all Allison.
Allison,
our sister, our soul sister, Allison Ford. That's the wee syndrome.
Yeah.
It's talking all about us. We do this. We have these capabilities. We're great. Just ask us. Versus making the customer being felt, and talking about again, when you put yourself in the shoes of that persona, okay, you're up in Seattle. Let's just use this as an example. There's a buyer at Boeing, and their supervisor, boss, somebody above them comes down and says, "Hey, Damon, you need to buy 30 things today for this project. Ready, go." And so you've got this list. You're like, "Oh my goodness, how am I going to finish this today?" I'm going, you're going to Google, you're going to Amazon, you're doing searches. You have to be found. You've got to be found easily. And then again, you have to make that client's life as easy as possible. Ironically, I'm sorry to throw out my book. I have a chapter, treat your market your manufacturing operation like a 5-star resort, right? That's one of my chapters. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, because if I'm that buyer at Boeing, and the little greasy, machine shop, they've got 10 employees and it's not very clean. They're like, how could I treat my place like a 5-star resort? However, if that Boeing engineer, that buyer at Boeing is under the gun and they need products and they need a service or they need a machine and you have it and I can't find you, you're the best kept secret. What a crime that is. But if I do a search and I find you, and I don't care if you're a hole in the wall, but if you can solve my problem right now, dude, I love you. You are a 5-star resort. And so that video, that blog post, that content, that LinkedIn profile, anything, make that connection, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that people know that are listening to this is when we say e-commerce for manufacturers, we're talking about doing business online. It's not necessarily just the transaction part of it, because if someone says, "Hey, I'm gonna put up a website and it's gonna have a little buy here button and you're gonna make money," I got a couple bridges I'll sell you too, right? Because it doesn't work that way. You have to look at this as the whole thing and the whole customer experience and and doing that well, because e-commerce is all encompassing from getting someone's attention all the way through to making it easy for them to solve their problem.
You're 100% correct. And again, e-commerce can be just a nice, clean web page with a clear, concise call to action, and get me that RFQ as fast as possible. Get me, if it's a circuit board, get me a drawing, whatever the product is. These long forms of like, hey, who's your firstborn? What's your social security number? Da 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 da. Short, sweet, concise, and then of course, what do you and I talk about? Configurators, dude. So if you're a manufacturer out, and again, you could be in the service sector, whoever's out there today, make it as easy as possible. Man, you're going to love this. You ready for this? We're going to do a little opening, what do they call that? Like when you get a package and you open it. So I go online. I wanted to get a shirt so Damon and I have a show every Friday. I bought a shirt for our show. I was going to give you. So I do a Google search, T-shirt, and in Google Shopping, this company called Rush Order Tees. You see that right there? Order Tees.
Yeah.
Look at the packaging. Like it's digital, teamwork, unique. Like they've got all these like positive inspiration. Like you're like, man, how cool is this, right? I ordered this on Tuesday night, got it today. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so if you're a custom manufacturer, you're like, oh well, we can't. I paid a premium.
Yeah.
I wanted it quick, but the thing is, I made and created my own T-shirt. They had a configurator that was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I could pick out from dozens of different types of T-shirts. I could pick my size. I could pick my color. I had printing put on it. I'm going to break it out tomorrow. It's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
And so I had
That's a great example. It's a great example.
This was, proudly printed and handcrafted in the USA. Like everything that they did was exact. Like, as a matter of fact, we should get the CEO or somebody on that company on our show. This was a textbook config. We have to. I was in love with the configurator. So, again, I always use that T-shirt as an example. And again, I know people are like, hey, wait a minute, Curt, like we do very complicated engineering, high end, And I get it. I totally understand that. So it's not for everybody, but boy, it's for a lot of people. There's a lot of companies that should be taking full advantage of a configurator.
And I think of this, I go back to running a custom sheet metal fabrication company, right? And we would bend a lot of different things, a lot of different stuff. But one of the things that we did a fair amount of was electronic enclosures.
Yeah.
And if you even look at something that simple, from that you go, okay, I want an electronic enclosure that's 4x4x4 with a screw-on lid, and I want 2 holes like this in the side or something like that.
Right.
It's not that hard to put together a configurator to do that.
Right. It's not that hard. And if there's, say, what I always preach is like that 80-20 rule. So say that you're a power unit, supplier. Okay.
There you go. Good idea.
Like you're familiar with my Falcon Electronics, right?
Yeah.
So Falcon Electronics, they make power strips. So like if you walk into Walmart, any Walmart in all of North America, you see their television department. Those televisions are plugged into this real heavy duty U.S. steel metal fabricated power unit. Okay. Lowe's, they make another one for Lowe's at Christmas time. When you see their artificial Christmas tree displays, their trees are plugged in. Well, what we did is like people were going into Lowe's, flipping over the power strip, and they were calling us and they're like, hey, could we buy your power strip? Could we buy your power strip? Like, hey, that's an e-commerce opportunity.
Yeah.
So we'd say, hey, let's create it was our UL listing. It was our design. It was our product. Let's just create a handful. We'll put it in stock. Let's see what happens. And so now, like when Target called us recently, they're like, hey, we need power strips and we want da-da-da-da. Well, that's great, but we have this one. Oh, okay, well, forget what I was looking for. I'll take that because you already have it in stock. Or they can go to the website, they'll use the URL, they'll grab the link of that product and say, we want that product because we narrowed it down for them.
Yeah.
The goal is how do you make it easier for them?
That's true. Well, and you make a great point, because a lot of times we sell custom because we are custom and we don't have to be. Yeah, because and you think about it and you go, okay, if I'm making these 17 different enclosures for all these people, when you look at them and you go, in the middle, there's 3 that would take care
Yep.
of 12 of them.
Yep.
You go, oh, maybe we should start thinking about that and explain to our customers that you buy number 1, you buy number 2, you buy number 3, and you're going to get a better price. And then we begin to sell those same things online. This is the way that you start to go, okay, now I can get volume like I want.
Now, I couldn't agree with you more, because now you're scaling.
Yeah.
Now you know, it's the McDonald's concept. You know,
Yeah.
It's like now you've narrowed it down. Now you can buy. You know, your volume is going to go up. You've created economies of scale. So all the above. You know, so between going manufacturer direct, taking that 80, customizing and creating some converting. You know what I call it, Damon? You know, those custom manufacturers, what do they have? Every single one of them have a proprietary process, right? So what we talk about at our webinars is how do we scale, or use the word convert, how do we scale your proprietary process into a proprietary product? You know, either scale it or convert it. And that's exactly what you just described.
Yeah. Because there's got to be ways to do that in business, even to the point that if you're a custom manufacturer and you understand your customer's product a little bit, and a few customers like that, you could redesign a more common product that would fit your process.
Right.
But I come back again too, and we talk about e-commerce, and one of the things that I think is a low-hanging fruit opportunity for manufacturers that they're not utilizing in one of the e-commerce strategies that they should be, at least if they're not doing now, is setting up carts for their existing customers. So it's almost like an Amazon thing for their custom products. It's like, I got to repeat. Oh, I got to fill out this purchase order, and then I got to send it over to you, and you're going to do it in it, or we're going to EDI it, which EDI is better. Don't get me wrong. EDI is better for the people that do it with their big customers. But this where you're sending anything by way of PO, and then there's manual entry at the other side. It's more efficient and better for both parties if they can just buy on the other end. And as you talk about when your e-commerce strategies for manufacturers, is that a lot of times people will want to then pay with a credit card too at that time they buy.
I agree with you 100%. And think about, you're hitting it right on the head, because the thing is, what you can do is there's multiple things you can do. You can have it password protected, where that item is, within your website, but nobody else can see it. You can have it hidden. You can, there's multiple things that you could do where that customer, and again, what are we trying to do? Make our customer the hero. So instead of like, hey, here's a purchase order. Hey, hey, what was the price last time? I can click a link. I can log into the website, place the order. Like you said, more and more people are now using credit card. And I know, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to lose that 2%. Man, I'll take 97 cents all day long to get paid today and get paid not only before I ship the product, before I even make the product. That's cash is king. And to me, it's worth that 2-3%, But.
Yeah. So, well, Rodney says, we should go to Magic Metals for enclosures. So we'll let you do that, nice. Rodney. But he's got a good question here. He said, how do you deal with the volatile metal market? And, I think that's just go ahead.
No, so as far as pricing goes, that's a fantastic point. I don't know if it will work for metal market. What we're doing, so like we created we just launched a brand new configurator. Our mutual friend Jeffrey Stern, we just launched a configurator for his company just Tuesday. So. Right. So say for example, do I have a good question, a good answer for Rodney? Let me go this direction and I'll come back. So like in electronics, so like there's all sorts of massive electronic suppliers, or, say like Mauser, DigiKey, or some places like that, right? You can get an API, pull the information into your configurator. And so now the prices are live, for volatile prices for metalwork, depending on how many SKUs you have, or how sophisticated your suppliers are. Either can they get the API to pull the prices in, or can they just set the prices and then somebody manually is going to have to monitor it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the pricing when you're doing it online like that, you make a good point. Most suppliers in metal probably aren't changing more than once a month or every couple of months. So it's easier if you got a few to update just to put the cost in once a month because your configurator, if you're doing it the way you want to do it, is going to spit out a cost, and it's going to
It's going
spit
to
out
spit
a
out a cost.
cost.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's
That's, go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So back to like say the enclosures or power strip example, another thing with that 80-20 rule, what it does by like if really trying to scale or just blow out that narrowing it down, because a lot of people like say a power strip, I want so many receptacles, did I really need 24 or you have 20 in stock? I'll just take the 20. But if they really need the 24, at least they have a foundation. The conversation is already started, like that 60% of due diligence that you always talk about. Like
Yep.
they're already past that point. So, okay, I see you have the 20. I have to go 24. But since I like the price of the 20, I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit higher. But I think, you're so far ahead of your competitor that just like, hey, we got to keep everything to the vest. We're not going to post anything, And my response always to that is like, man, I'd rather have a customer see my price then I'm more worried about my customers not seeing my prices than I'm worried about my competitors seeing my prices. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I was going to bring up because that's the first thing that when you start talking about prices and public and oh no, you can't do that. But
Right.
at the end of the day, I just wonder in that respect. I agree with you. I wonder how much of that is really true. That you would ever a competitor would be looking to
Right.
see what your price is on somebody else's because I contend that they're probably busy running their business.
They're busy, and even with competitive intelligence, bottom line, people, in certain cases, you're going to get a price, like
Yeah,
at some point in time, you're going to get a price. But now, even with the configurator or some of these custom situations that we're talking about, on the configurator, what you do, you submit, the customer has to submit an email. It's coming to them personally. It's not being, those configurators, the price is not posted publicly in some cases.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's
On
true.
my t-shirt or Jeffrey Stern, they're putting it right out there because it's an interaction. We want to close the sale. And here's another nice thing is by sometimes putting those prices out there, you eliminate people that you would have wasted time with that had no intention.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
It
That's
makes
a
you more
great point.
it makes
Great
you more
point.
efficient. Yep.
Well, Rodney added a little bit. They're changing metal prices daily. Woo!
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's so he's shooting down my theory,
Yeah.
But again, either can you get an API, how sophisticated that vendor is? Can you get an API and pull in live prices? Then you don't have to babysit it. Or if it's a limited SKU product line, unfortunately, then somebody does have to babysit it.
Yeah. You probably would be able to get it so it's a spreadsheet upload too.
And here's the other thing: depending on the raw material that you purchase, you can base that price on what's in inventory versus what you buy.
Yeah.
And then you can have it. You can also have related on today's prices, or there's things that we can do to work around that.
Yeah.
Real quick, Damon. So next Friday, at our Friday webinar, is President Chris Harrington from Gen Alpha. So if anybody's out there and they want to go deeper on configurators, Chris and her team at Gen Alpha do an amazing job with configurators, and so we're going to be talking about that from her perspective next Friday.
Yeah, and do they tie in then to the ERP systems that they use?
They do. Yeah.
See, because that's a big thing, and every manufacturer has some sort of ERP system they're using now.
Yep.
And that's what I see is one of the things that would be really, really nice if your configurator just rolled right through your website into your ERP system, and man, you can get it. So
right. Yeah, my daughter just walked in. Had to get the dog out of here. You know me and my dog's always crashing the party here. So, but
all right, good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff. Well, one of the things that I was thinking about is as you look forward into the rest of this year, what are you seeing as some of the leading things that are like, wow, that is really something. And I think if we could get that out to the masses, it would help a lot of people in getting getting out more, but actually beginning to start to sell online?
Yeah. So again, staying in our manufacturing lane, what, a little more of a shameless plug, we've been connecting with a lot of the MEPs. So if anybody's not familiar, that's the manufacturing extension partnerships. So there's a manufacturing extension partnership in all 50 states. I think
Yep.
their claim is like there's one within 2 hours of every manufacturer in the country. Impact Washington, where you're at, they do amazing work. I'm blessed, fortunate. I do work with those guys here in New York. Our friend Steve Melito,
Yep.
I'm talking with him tomorrow. He's part of. We have 10 different MEPs throughout New York State here, but the MEPs are a great network, and so we're blowing out a lot of webinars, putting out a lot of information. We have our little our rat pack or whatever you want to call it, our group of 12 different manufacturing marketers that we're rolling out at IMEC. You just went on Tuesday at the Illinois MEP Temple. We landed a really nice program that we're doing at Temple University next month. And so I think so to answer your question, what I'm hearing, and I feel comfortable saying this because you and I work at a lot of different states with different manufacturers. Tomorrow I'm in Montana. I'm in my basement, but I'll be at Montana.
Yeah.
We're really aggressively going after this do it with you model. And that concept for these manufacturers is, a lot of them, they have folks on the team or on the staff that know what they need to do, but they're in an island, they're in a silo, they need help, they need a trusted guide. And so what I feel like we've been doing is like we're trying to help educate these folks. And in some cases, we're trying to teach them how to fish so they can fish on their own. In other cases, this is someone right in your backyard. I had a great call with someone in Seattle this morning. She is so sophisticated, man. I'm like, I'm going to learn from her, but she just wants somebody by her side. They're rolling out like a whole new e-commerce, strategy, e-commerce for their website, SEO, pay-per-click, da da da. She just wants a trusted resource where like they can't go to a firm because of a marketing firm. They want to do the do it for you concept. They want to take it and do it themselves. She's like, I don't need somebody to do it for me. I just need somebody to do it with me. And so if I'm answering your question, I'm hearing a big trend with that right now.
I think you've hit one of the key stumbling blocks for a lot of businesses overall, manufacturers, doesn't really matter, implementing e-commerce is they've tried it before, spent a ton of money, and it didn't get them anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's just be honest, because what happens that I think about it, I put myself, well, I was in the seat, right? You were in the seat. And when I was sitting in a manufacturing company, you were running a manufacturing company. I'm sitting here and someone comes to someone talks to my sales and marketing people and said, we need a new website. That's how we're going to get e-commerce. And if that person that's selling that service looks at your business, they're looking at it in the eyes of the website developer.
Yep.
And yes.
Yeah. God,
you may sooner or later need a website, right? But is it the right thing today?
Right.
And that's where I think that if anything, manufacturers and other business people need to do when they're looking at e-commerce is find a guide, something that is not tied to pay-per-click, a new website, social media, and go, okay, what do we do next? Because successful business owners, right, they understand what to do next a lot of times because they're not in business long if you don't. We're working on sales. We're working on making sure we make good money with the sales. I'm working to use that money right so I can get more sales. And they're working through all these different things. E-commerce is a little bit different, but exactly the same. But you have to understand e-commerce well enough to be able to do that because it's not as intuitive as business is in general because of the technical nature of it. It's in most people, yes, a new website could do it, but is it going to do enough that warrants your attention and the thousands of dollars that will take right now? Or is it that you're not getting the right traffic to your website, or are you getting enough traffic, but it's not the right traffic? Is it that, there's all these different things. And really, when I look at e-commerce for manufacturers or e-commerce strategies for manufacturers, it's really about we all have limited resources.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what we should be working on today, because we can't work on all of it. And we have to work on what is going to help us generate revenue the fastest.
Yep.
And it's nothing's fast, right? It takes some time for this kind of stuff, especially and now it's a tougher thing when you're talking about SEO, because you've tried all the other stuff and you have to build SEO traffic, because that takes months to do that.
Right.
But oftentimes I think manufacturing people and business people in general, I don't know if there's many you can walk up to anymore that can't tell you a bad experience about someone sold me a new website, someone sold me pay-per-click, someone sold me
Right.
Facebook advertising. It doesn't matter. Well, you just pick one, right? Content, writing blogs, and together they could be very good, and
Right.
you just did it at the wrong time, because
Right.
if I have the right amount of traffic and I've got the good paid strategy, I've had a good website built, it may be time that you need to generate content, and you may need to generate a lot. But if I do it first,
Right.
it's not going to do you any good.
Right.
Well, it will, but it's going to take you 2 years for it to even show itself up if you're even writing the right content, because you don't know your customers well enough. And this is why I come back to the thing to do it with you, or finding someone that can help you through this overall, that's not necessarily a specialist that says, I make it. It's like having a heart surgeon be a general doctor.
Yeah.
I don't want a heart surgeon coming and looking at me when I got a cold. It's not my heart.
Right.
I don't need heart surgery to fix my head cold. So you find somebody that's more like a general MD, a family practitioner, because listen, I just kind of want to get it. If I need to go to a specialist, I'll go to a specialist. But today, let's talk about my whole self.
Right.
Figure out what you think and those kind of things. That guide is so critical, because and forget the money too. It's not money in a lot of cases, because you're going to spend money to do e-commerce.
Yeah.
But the thing is the time you waste, because if you're not doing the right things, you can be down the road 6-8 months, and you've just lost that time.
Right.
And that's why you're talking about what you're seeing from these customers, and they're wanting people that can kind of help them with it. I think there's a huge opportunity for people to do that. And then you bring the right resources in and put them in the right spot and do that kind of thing, and do the things like we talk about in some of our stuff about, making sure that it's getting the return we want, making sure that it's the right time, and really driving the results you want.
Right.
And over time, I think just about anybody can put a good e-commerce strategy.
Right. No, dude, God, that was phenomenal, man. Hey, are you recording this?
Well, I take it's something that we hear every day, right? We hear every day. We hear it every day. Every day.
That was so good. No, gosh, so many things, again, going like, if we equate this to like the 90s, say like the service sector, plumbers, electricians, you took an ad out in a phone book and did it once a year and you're set, right? Internet comes along, disrupted all the trades folks, right? And like, gosh, now I got to do this whole internet thing, and manufacturers like, oh, thank goodness that, that's never going to catch up to us. Thank goodness we're not a plumber. Good thing we're not a beauty salon or nail salon. When it hit the service sector 20 years ago, or however many years ago, when Facebook, social media, so on and so forth, that hit those sectors. It's now hitting manufacturers. I remember in the 2000s, when I had my e-commerce business, I was flying all over the country going to conferences. I'd go to San Jose, around Google campus for, this kind of search engine marketing, Manhattan, Chicago, whatever, just trying to get nuggets, because, we couldn't even really go online to get information. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now there's a ton online. You can YouTube anything, how to do pay-per-click, how to do SEO, What the difference is here is having somebody, a trusted guide by your side, to kind of help you go through that process, and like figure out these strategies, figure out how to, to do these things where I'm not in a silo. I'm not paying somebody $50,000 a year to manage my pay-per-click account, but I can have somebody just kind of show me how to fish with me, so I just think it's super exciting. The MEPs have been just phenomenal. It's fun watching what they're doing with manufacturers and how they're helping them elevate.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just really excited as to see how, the next couple of years will play out for manufacturers and e-commerce, and just some of the innovative things that we're going to see, just how you can rethink the way that you can make it easier for people to get what they need.
Oh, it's just, it's hysterical. I was on, again, plastic injection molding. So like, I'm on a line with a client, and we're going through some search strategies, and again, like, this poor person, last week I was asked, what is SEO? I mean, like, that's, unfortunately, if you're a widget expert, like, why would you know what SEO even stands for? They just don't know, you and we've come across those manufacturers that are spending 50 grand on pay-per-click strategies, and we look at their campaigns that they're paying these firms to do. It's almost criminal. And the keywords have no relevancy to what they do. It's just, they might as well just donate that money to charity, And
Yeah.
so like this one particular woman, plastic injection molding, we're doing some searches, and we did my little, finish a sentence, and, we're going through that. But prior to that, when we're going broad, we found a plastic injection molder that had a configurator, and their Google ad said 30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 30 seconds or less, man. That's like, that's crazy that you can, hey, we're going to spit out a quote to you in, 30 seconds. We've got your back. We're going to make this happen so fast. You don't need to call us. You don't need to email us. We're just going to make this happen. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. And even in the years ago, when I was still in the machining industry, and I think it's kind of interesting because Rodney says mild steel was up 60 cents, or aluminum 60 cents last month, and mild steel almost doubled. But then he corrected himself. He's been a couple months, but man, that's a lot. I didn't realize
that's crazy
like that, because that's a fair amount.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was interesting now with the advent of something like the solid modeling programs that are out there, that if you had a CNC machine product, you can drop the model in and have it spit out a cost based on the volume of material you're taking away from the block.
Right.
I'm like, because I used to have a very good friend, a very good estimator. I know he still lives up here by me, but he would that's the way he estimated. And yes, there's different speeds for holes and all this kind of stuff. But he says overall, if you do it like this, and he would get pretty damn close like that. But I just think of the way that you could get real innovative about that with custom products.
Right. And Rodney, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be Siri or Alexa. Hey, Alexa, what's the price of 1,000 aluminum, blah, 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 it's going to, it's probably not that far away, to be honest with you. Right. I mean,
it'll ask you 5 or 6 questions, you answer, it's filled out the form for you, bing, boom. Where would you like me to send that?
Yeah. Hey, Alexa, I need a 6-foot aluminum, 5-inch wide, blah, 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 blah. And I need, I mean, like that's well within
voice activated configurator. Well, and I just, we
got to talk to Jeffrey Stern about that. I got to talk.
Yeah.
Because stress, right?
Yeah. You start that, but you talk about AI and the way AI can really, that's going to do some stuff there. But even just going back to the basic things that the e-commerce strategies that manufacturers can look at now, can educate themselves on, and I all across the board, because this is one of the things that I see that executives need to understand. In any business, you should be at least somewhat dangerous in e-commerce,
right?
Because otherwise you can get taken advantage of. But not so much that is, if you're at least dangerous, you can help to lead your people to drive the results you want, or to achieve the results. I always use the word drive, but I mean it in a nice way. But achieve the results you want, because sometimes if you don't know, you're going to go, why should I spend that $10,000? And if you're know enough to be dangerous, you can ask 2 or 3 questions, or 6 questions, or 10 that make you feel comfortable and go, yeah, that's a good decision. We should move forward. But if you don't have that education about it, you might turn it down, and it might have been the best thing that you should have been.
So, and when it comes to technology, it's so hard, like you hate to, we're, different social media platforms. We're talking about Clubhouse. I hope not. I could be out of a job.
Damn, Alexa.
Damn. Rodney, that won't happen, dude. We won't let that happen.
No.
So, but with technology, remember when social media first started coming out, like, I was on I was younger then. We had a young team, and our goal was always like, we never wanted to be beat by the competitors by ignoring, I've told you a story before, like Twitter. I'm like, who's ever going to type 140 characters? That Twitter thing's never going to work, is Clubhouse, Periscope, it's just, man, sometimes this technology just gets so overwhelming, but boy, you hate to get beat by the competitors because you intentionally ignore these opportunities, and e-commerce can be extremely inexpensive, can be effective if not always. Sometimes you're looking at, pretty big strategies, but, it's like a business development, what's your payroll for a sales rep or a business development person,
Yeah. I mean, and it is different. It is more technical in a lot of ways,
right?
But it's also sometimes it takes a lot more creative flair too, just because of the writing and the graphics and the other things that have to be involved in it. But
Right.
it is the way that people are getting more comfortable buying.
Right. And you know what a lot of it is, Damon, like the configurator, the content, the e-commerce. We were talking earlier about like all this content that you're putting out for your company. All we're doing is we're doing the work ahead of time, anticipating business. That's all it is. It's like we're hoping or anticipating somebody's going to buy that product at some point in time, or configure that product, or have that FAQ or that question. By doing this content that you're doing, by doing that configurator, all we've done is like it's like we went into pregame mode. We did everything ahead of time. Now we're ready for you. So instead of you coming to us and we're going to do it after the fact, we've done it beforehand. That's the competitive advantage.
Yep. That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, we're getting to the end here, Curt, and it's, like usual, we could talk about this a lot, but where can people find you, first of all, if they want to talk to you?
Well, right here with you, brother. So every Friday, me and my brother from another mother, Damon, we do our weekly manufacturing e-commerce success webinar. Dude, tomorrow, get a good night's sleep, man. Tomorrow is just going to be, we have Mike Womack from the New Jersey MEP. This kid is just a ball of energy. He's just on fire. So like we've got that tomorrow. We've got Harry Moser from the Reshoring Initiative. He's a celebrity in U.S. manufacturing. He's
bringing it back to the USA, man.
We got our dear buddy Dan Bigger is coming on in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah,
he's talking about his Twitter chat group. We've got Kara Golden, the founder, my love of my life of Hint Water. So we have a lot of. So join us on Fridays. We've also taken an initiative. We've created this little fun co-op, this e-commerce co-op, that people now can go on our website, and people are starting to use this, Damon. We have a free audit tool. So people go to its e-commerce management, and management is MGMT, e-commerce management. And you go on there and you just pop in your domain name, and man, that tool that we have is just phenomenal, very robust, tons of information. So we've got our free webinars, we've got our free audit, and then our good buddy, Jeffrey Graham, has just created this phenomenal free e-commerce course. So at some point in time, we need to make a living, dude. We got to pay, I got a daughter who's got to go to college. You got bills to pay, but we have a lot of free resources. We're just very passionate. We're doing these webinars for the MEP. So we're really, you're an inspiration. You're such an inspiration with all the work that you do, all this, the shows that you're putting out. It's such an honor for me to be with you on Fridays. I can't express my thanks for your friendship, your support. It's just been, you're a blessing, dude. You really are.
Well, I'm an old manufacturing guy. I love building shit. That's just, I do, and I can't get it out of my blood. Even when the e-commerce has pulled me away, I still like that. Right. I think there's an opportunity for us to educate people, and let them do like I do, innovate and do great things. So I think, thanks for being on here, Curt Anderson, my friend, partner, brother from another mother. You know, we'll be seeing you tomorrow. And if you haven't seen it, stop by the Manufacturing E-commerce Success Series Friday at 10:30 Pacific time.
Yep.
I would, I'm actually getting better at this East Coast stuff now. East Coast time, I can convert pretty quickly in my head. But yeah, you're gonna hear us tomorrow, and we do. Mike Womack is there tomorrow.
Yeah, man, he's
Millennials in manufacturing. I think it's going to be a great topic because, man, it is something I am passionate about. I think it's just it's a shame that we don't have kids graduating from college or from high school thinking about this, thinking about going to work in a manufacturing plant, because they'll go down, and there's nothing against this. Go down and they'll work at a Domino's or something like that, delivering pizzas when they could go to a manufacturing plant, make more money, have benefits, have a career opportunity for them, and they don't even consider it. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, and when I think you had Holly with you today, Holly McClure, right? Guys like Michael. I mean, there's momentum, man. There's a change taking place. There's a mind shift. It's not grandma and grandpa's manufacturing anymore. There's a lot of. He's going to be talking tomorrow about SEO, pay-per-click from a manufacturing standpoint, and great stuff. So
good stuff. Well, Curt, thanks again for being on the Faces of Business. Thanks everyone for listening. Rodney, I'm grateful that we made your drive go by fast.
Rodney, thanks, dude. I got to connect with you on LinkedIn, man. So thanks for joining us tonight.
You bet. And for everyone listening, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, talking with interesting people about life and business on the Faces of Business. Thanks for being here.